Maya Chen wiped down the last table in the corner of the Ivy Room restaurant. Her feet hurt. They always hurt after a long shift. She had been on her feet for 6 hours straight, carrying heavy trays and smiling at customers who barely looked at her. This was her life now. Waitressing at night, teaching piano to bored children during the day, and trying to pay rent on a tiny apartment that always smelled like the Chinese takeout place downstairs. She looked at the big clock on the wall. Almost 9. Just 30 more minutes and she could go home, take off these uncomfortable shoes and maybe watch something mindless on her old laptop. Maya pushed a strand of black hair behind her ear and headed toward the kitchen with her tray of dirty dishes. The Ivy Room was not a regular restaurant. It was fancy. The kind of place where people wore expensive clothes and talked about things Maya did not care about anymore. Wine that cost more than her weekly paycheck. Business deals. Vacation homes. She had learned to tune it all out. Just smile, take the order, bring the food, collect the tip, and repeat. Maya was 28 years old, but sometimes she felt much older. Life had not turned out the way she thought it would. When she was younger, people told her she was special. Gifted. A prodigy, they said. She could play piano better than kids twice her age. By the time she was 16, she was accepted to Juilliard, one of the best music schools in the world. Full scholarship. Her parents cried happy tears. Her teacher said she would be famous one day. But that was a long time ago. That was a different Maya. A Maya who believed in herself. A Maya who thought music was her destiny. Now she was just a waitress who happened to teach a few piano lessons on the side to make extra money. She pushed through the kitchen door. The heat hit her face immediately. The cooks were shouting to each other in Spanish, moving fast around the hot stoves. Maya set down her tray and leaned against the cool metal counter for a moment. She closed her eyes. Maya! She jumped. It was Richard, the restaurant manager. He was a thin man in his 40s with glasses that always slid down his nose. Right now he looked stressed. More stressed than usual. He was holding his phone in one hand and wiping sweat from his forehead with the other. "Yes, Mr. Patterson?" Maya said. "I need to talk to you. Now, it's important." He gestured for her to follow him to his small office near the back of the kitchen. Maya's stomach dropped. Was she in trouble? Had she messed up an order? She tried to think of what she might have done wrong, but nothing came to mind. She followed Richard into his cramped office, which was really just a desk, a filing cabinet, and 2 chairs crammed into a space barely bigger than a closet. Richard sat down heavily in his chair and looked at her with desperate eyes. "Maya, I know you play piano," she blinked. That was not what she expected him to say. Yes. I teach piano lessons. Why?" "The charity gala, tonight. It's in 45 minutes. He ran his hand through his thinning hair. "We're hosting the Children's Hospital Foundation fundraiser. Richest people in Portland. Very important. We hired a pianist to play background music during dinner." "Okay," Maya said slowly, not understanding why he was telling her this. "He just called. He's sick. Food poisoning. He can't come." Richard looked like he might cry. "These people paid $1,000 a plate. We promised live piano music. I've been calling every pianist I can find and no one can come on such short notice." Maya's heart started beating faster. She knew where this was going. "You play piano," Richard said, leaning forward. "You could do it. Please, Maya, I'm begging you. Just background music. Nothing fancy. Just some nice quiet music while people eat and talk. Easy stuff. You can do that, right?" Maya's mouth went dry. Her hands started to sweat. "Mr. Patterson, I don't think I'll pay you $300 cash tonight." His eyes were wide and pleading. "Plus your regular wages. Maya, this event is huge for the restaurant. If we mess this up, the owner will be furious. Please, just 2 hours. That's all I need, $300. That was more than she made in a week of waitressing. That could pay her electric bill and her phone bill with money left over. She thought about her bank account, which had exactly $73 in it. She thought about the hole in her only winter coat that she could not afford to fix. But she also thought about the last time she performed in front of people, 6 years ago. The memory made her feel sick. The stage at Juilliard. The competition. All those people watching. Her hands shaking so badly she could barely play. Missing notes. Getting confused. Stopping in the middle of the piece. The silence. The whispers. The humiliation that burned through her like fire. She had walked out of that concert hall and never went back to school. She could not face it, could not face the disappointment in her teacher's eyes, the pity from other students, or the knowledge that she had failed when it mattered most. She had thrown away her scholarship, her future, everything. Just background music, Richard said again. No one will even really pay attention. They'll be talking and eating. You'll just be in the corner. Quiet, simple songs. Nothing hard, Maya swallowed. Background music. Not a performance. Not really. Just playing quietly while people ignored her. She had been teaching songs to children for years. She knew hundreds of simple pieces. She could do this. She had to do this. She needed the money. Okay, she whispered. Richard's whole body relaxed. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maya. You're saving my life. Come on, let me show you the piano. Maya followed him out of the office, her legs feeling weak. They walked through the restaurant to the main dining room. The servers were putting white tablecloths on all the tables, setting out fancy plates and wine glasses. Fresh flowers were everywhere. A banner on the wall said, Children's Hospital Foundation Gala, Hope for Tomorrow. In the corner of the room, near the tall windows that looked out onto the rainy Portland street, sat a beautiful grand piano. It was black and shiny, probably very expensive. Maya had not even noticed it before. She usually worked in a different section of the restaurant. It's already tuned, Richard said. The other guy came by yesterday to check it. You can start at 6:30. The guest will arrive at 7. Play until 8:30. Here's the key to the piano bench. He pressed a small key into her hand. Inside there's some sheet music the other guy left, but play whatever you want. Just keep it classy, okay? Dinner music. You know what I mean? Maya nodded. She could not seem to find her voice. Thank you again, Richard said, patting her shoulder awkwardly. You should go home and change. Wear something nice. Black would be good. You have something black? Yes, Maya managed to say. Great, be back here by 6:15. That gives you about 30 minutes to get ready. He hurried away, already pulling out his phone to deal with the next crisis. Maya stood alone in the dining room, staring at the piano. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. What had she just agreed to? She could not do this. She should tell Richard she made a mistake, that she could not do it after all. But $300. She took a deep breath and walked to the piano. She lifted the cover off the keys. They were perfect, smooth, and white. She sat down on the bench and let her fingers rest on the keys. She did not press down. She just touched them lightly. It had been so long since she played in front of anyone except her young students. She only played simple songs for them, showing them how to position their fingers, how to read the notes. She never played the difficult pieces anymore, the ones that required her whole heart and soul, the ones that made her feel alive and terrified at the same time. This is different, she told herself. This is just background music. No one will even listen. You can do this. She pressed down on middle C. The note rang out clear and pure. The sound filled the empty dining room. Maya closed her eyes and took another deep breath. Then she stood up, covered the keys again, and left to go home and change. Her apartment was only a 15-minute walk from the restaurant. The rain had started, a light drizzle that made the streetlights look blurry. Maya walked quickly, her mind racing. What should she play? Simple classical pieces, probably. Maybe some jazz standards. Nothing that would draw attention. Nothing that would make people stop and listen. She climbed the 3 flights of stairs to her apartment and unlocked the door. Inside it was small but neat. A couch she had bought at a thrift store. A table with 2 chairs. A tiny kitchen. 1 bedroom barely big enough for her bed. But it was hers and she had made it comfortable. Maya went to her closet and looked for something black and nice. She found a simple black dress she wore to a friend's wedding 2 years ago. It still fit. She changed quickly, brushed her hair, and put on a little makeup. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. She looked professional, like a pianist, like the person she used to be. For just a second, she remembered what it felt like to be that girl at Juilliard, the one with dreams, the one who believed she could be great. Where did that girl go? When did she become so afraid? Maya pushed the thoughts away. No time for that now. She grabbed her coat and headed back out into the rain. By the time she got back to the Ivy Room, it was 6:15 exactly. The restaurant had transformed. There were candles on every table. Soft lighting. A table near the entrance held name cards for the guests. Everything looked elegant and expensive. Richard saw her and rushed over. Perfect. You look great. Go ahead and warm up or whatever you need to do. Guests start arriving in about 40 minutes. Maya walked to the piano and sat down. She unlocked the bench and looked inside. There were stacks of sheet music, classical pieces by Mozart, Bach, and Chopin, some jazz fake books, a collection of popular songs arranged for piano. Good. She would have plenty to choose from. She started playing softly just to get her fingers moving. A simple piece by Bach that she could play in her sleep. Her hands remembered it automatically. Then a jazz standard her father used to like. Then a gentle Chopin nocturne. The music calmed her nerves a little. This was not so bad. She could do this. The servers moved around the room making final preparations. No one paid attention to her. That was good. That was what she wanted. At 7 o'clock, the guests started arriving. Maya kept playing, her eyes on the keys. She heard voices, laughter, the clink of glasses. Rich people in expensive clothes. She did not look up. She just played. More people came. The room filled up. Richard moved around nervously, greeting everyone, making sure everything was perfect. Servers brought out champagne and appetizers. Maya switched to a new song. Then another. She kept the volume down, just background noise. Occasionally she glanced up at the crowd. Men in dark suits. Women in fancy dresses and jewelry. Everyone looked important and comfortable, like they belonged in a place like this. She did not belong here. She was just the hired piano player. The replacement for the guy who got food poisoning. She would play her simple songs, collect her $300, and go home. That was fine with her. She did not want anything more than that. She did not want to be noticed. Maya played for about 45 minutes straight. Her fingers moved easily over the keys. These songs were simple for her, even though she had not performed in years. Years of teaching had kept her skills sharp, even if she had not realized it. The guests were seated now, eating their fancy dinner. The noise level in the room had increased. Conversations, laughter, the sound of silverware on plates. No one was listening to her music. It was exactly what Richard wanted. Background noise. Maya was starting to relax. This was almost over. Another hour and she could leave. Then something happened. A little girl walked up to the piano. She looked about 8 years old, with blonde hair in 2 braids and a dark blue dress that was maybe a little too big for her. She stood next to the piano and watched Maya play with wide, serious eyes. Maya finished the song she was playing and looked at the girl. "Hello," she said quietly. The girl did not say anything at first. "Then you play really pretty." "Thank you," Maya said. She noticed something on the girl's wrist. Under the long sleeve of her dress there was a plastic hospital bracelet, the kind patients wear. "What's your name?" Maya asked. "Sophie." "Hi, Sophie." "I'm Maya." Sophie looked down at her shoes. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Do you know any happy songs?" Sophie's voice was very quiet. Everything is always so serious. At the hospital, at these dinners. Everyone talks in quiet voices like something bad is going to happen. "I just want to hear something happy." Maya's heart squeezed in her chest. This little girl was sick. Probably very sick. And she just wanted to hear something happy. "Yes," Maya said. "I know happy songs." She started playing a cheerful piece by Scott Joplin, a ragtime song with a bouncing rhythm. Sophie's face lit up. She started swaying a little to the music, a small smile on her lips. When Maya finished, Sophie clapped softly. "That was good. Do you know more?" "Lots more," Maya said, and she played another one. Sophie stayed by the piano, listening. A few adults glanced over, smiling at the cute scene of the little girl enjoying the music. But mostly people continued their conversations and their meals. After 3 happy songs, Sophie leaned in close to Maya. "Can you play something that makes you feel like you're flying?" Maya's hands froze on the keys. "Like flying?" Sophie nodded seriously. "Like when you close your eyes and you can imagine you're going up, up, up into the sky and nothing can stop you and you're free." Maya stared at this little girl with braids and a hospital bracelet and suddenly felt something break open inside her chest. Something she had kept locked away for 6 years. Sophie wanted to feel free, to fly, even just for a moment, and Maya knew exactly what that felt like. Or at least she used to know. "Okay," Maya heard herself say. "I'll try." She put her fingers on the keys and closed her eyes. What song would make you feel like flying? She thought about the pieces in the sheet music. Nothing there felt right. They were all other people's songs. And then without planning to, without thinking about it, Maya started to play something else, something that came from inside her. Not a song she had learned or memorized. Just notes that felt right. That felt like freedom, like flying. Her fingers moved across the keys, slowly at first. A simple melody, soft and gentle, like a bird just beginning to spread its wings. Then building, adding more notes, more complexity. Her right hand played the melody, while her left hand added depth and harmony. She forgot where she was. Forgot about the fancy restaurant and the rich people and the fact that she was supposed to be playing quiet background music that no one paid attention to. She just played. And it felt like coming home after being lost for a very long time. The music that flowed from Maya's fingers was not like anything she had played earlier that evening. It started soft and gentle, but there was something different about it. Something real. The melody climbed and dipped like a bird riding the wind. Her eyes were still closed. She could see it in her mind, that feeling of flying Sophie had asked for. She did not notice when her playing got a little louder. She did not notice when the conversations near her started to quiet down. She was lost in the music, in the feeling of her hands remembering what it was like to really play, not just perform background noise. After about 2 minutes, Maya's eyes opened. She suddenly realized what she was doing. She was improvising, making up music on the spot, in front of all these people. This was not what Richard asked her to do. This was not safe, quiet background music. Her hands stumbled. She hit a wrong note, then another. Panic rushed through her body like ice water. What was she doing? She was supposed to stay invisible. She quickly ended the piece, bringing it to a close that was not quite finished but would have to do. Sophie was still standing next to the piano, her eyes shining. That was it, she whispered. That was flying. Maya felt her cheeks burning. I should get back to the regular music, she said quietly. She opened the sheet music book in front of her and started playing a safe Mozart piece. Her heart was beating too fast. Sophie smiled at her one more time, then walked back to her table where a woman, probably her mother, pulled her into a gentle hug. Maya kept her eyes on the sheet music for the next 20 minutes. She played exactly what was written on the page. Nothing extra, nothing creative, just simple, proper background music. Her hands were shaking slightly, but she did not think anyone noticed. The dining room had gone back to normal. People were eating dessert now, drinking coffee, talking loudly. No one was paying attention to the piano player in the corner. Good. That was what she wanted. That moment with Sophie had been a mistake. She had almost let herself get carried away. But even as she played the safe, boring music, a small part of her brain remembered how good it had felt. Just for those 2 minutes. To really play, to create something, to feel the music instead of just performing it. Stop it, she told herself. That part of your life is over. Maya glanced at the clock. 8:15. Just 15 more minutes and she could leave. Collect her money and go home. Back to her small apartment. Back to her small, safe life. She noticed 2 people sitting at a table near the piano. She had seen them before but had not paid much attention. Now as she played, she realized they were watching her, not talking to each other like everyone else. Just watching. One was a man, probably in his 50s, with gray hair and an expensive-looking suit. He had the kind of face that paid attention to things, sharp eyes behind thin glasses. The other was a woman, maybe 40, with dark hair pulled back tight. She wore all black and had a serious expression. There was something about the way she sat, very straight, very proper, that made Maya think she was someone important. The woman said something to the man, and they both looked at Maya for another moment before returning to their conversation. Maya's stomach tightened. Had they noticed her mistake earlier? Were they judging her playing? She forced herself to focus on the music. It did not matter what anyone thought. She was almost done. At 8:30 exactly, Maya finished the piece she was playing and gently closed the piano lid. She stood up, her legs stiff from sitting for 2 hours. Richard appeared immediately, a big smile on his face. Perfect, Maya. Just perfect. Everyone loved it. Very classy. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. 300 as promised. Plus your regular shift pay will be in your next check. Thank you so much for saving me tonight. Maya took the envelope. You're welcome, Mr. Patterson. You should do this more often. We have events all the time. I could use a regular pianist. Maybe, Maya said, knowing she would never volunteer for this again. Tonight had been too stressful, too close to feelings she wanted to keep buried. She gathered her things and headed for the door. ready to escape into the rainy night. But before she could leave, someone called out, "Excuse me." Maya turned. It was the man with gray hair from the table near the piano. He had gotten up and was walking toward her. Up close, he looked even more important, confident, the kind of person who was used to getting attention. "Yes?" Maya said, "I'm sorry to stop you, but I had to say something. Your playing tonight was exceptional, especially that improvised piece about an hour ago. That was remarkable." Maya felt her face flush. "Oh, I was just playing around. It wasn't anything special." "I disagree." The man pulled a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. "My name is James Morrison. I'm a music producer. I work with concert pianists, mostly classical but some contemporary. I've discovered quite a few talented musicians over the years." Maya stared at the card in her hand. The name meant nothing to her, but it looked fancy. Expensive paper, elegant font. "I've been in this business for 30 years, James continued. "I can recognize real talent when I hear it. You have something special. That improvisation was not the work of an amateur. You've had serious training." Maya's throat was tight. "I used to study music. A long time ago. But I don't perform anymore. I just teach piano lessons to kids." "That's a waste," James said bluntly. "Look, I'm not trying to pressure you, but I'd like to talk to you more about your background, your training. Maybe we could meet for coffee this week. I think you have potential that you're not using." Maya shook her head. "I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested in performing. I'm happy with what I'm doing now." It was a lie, but it was easier than explaining the truth. James looked at her for a long moment. "All right, but keep my card. If you change your mind, call me. Talent like yours should not be hidden in a corner playing background music." He walked back to his table and Maya rushed out the door before anyone else could stop her. The rain had gotten heavier. Maya pulled her coat tight and started walking home, the envelope of money clutched in her hand. Her mind was racing. A music producer. He thought she had talent. He wanted to talk to her about performing. 6 years ago, she would have been thrilled. This was the kind of break every music student dreamed about. Someone important noticing them, offering opportunities. But now it just made her feel sick with anxiety. She did not want opportunities. She did not want to be noticed. She just wanted to be left alone. Maya walked faster, trying to outrun the thoughts chasing her. When she got home, she was soaking wet. She peeled off her coat and dress and changed into comfortable pajamas. She made a cup of tea and sat on her couch, staring at nothing. The business card was still in her coat pocket. She should throw it away. She should forget this night ever happened. But Sophie's face kept appearing in her mind. That little girl who just wanted to hear something happy, who wanted to feel like she was flying. And for just a moment, Maya's music had given that to her. Maya had felt something too in those 2 minutes of improvisation, something she had not felt in 6 years, a connection to music that was real and deep and scary. She took a sip of her tea and tried to stop thinking about it. Tomorrow she would go back to her normal life, teaching scales to bored children, waiting tables, paying bills safe, predictable, small, that was enough. It had to be enough. But as she lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, she could not stop hearing the music she had played. The improvised piece that came from somewhere deep inside her. And she could not stop wondering what would have happened if she had kept playing. If she had not stopped herself. If she had let the music take her where it wanted to go. 3 days later, Maya was in her small studio apartment that she used for teaching piano lessons. It was just a room in a community center she rented by the hour. There was an old upright piano, some chairs and posters on the wall showing the names of the notes. Her student was Tommy, a 10-year-old boy who did not want to be there. His mother made him take lessons. He sat at the piano with slumped shoulders, playing his scales slowly and incorrectly. "Tommy, you need to curve your fingers more," Maya said gently, "like you're holding a ball. Remember?" Tommy sighed dramatically and adjusted his hand position slightly. He played the C major scale again, slightly better this time, but still without any enthusiasm. Maya tried to be patient. Most of her students were like Tommy. Their parents wanted them to learn piano, but the kids wanted to be playing video games or outside with friends. She understood. She tried to make the lessons fun, but it was hard when the students clearly did not care. After Tommy's lesson, she had 3 more students. A 6-year-old girl who kept forgetting which hand was which. A teenager who was actually talented but too lazy to practice. A middle-aged woman who wanted to learn piano as a hobby and played every song at the same slow, careful tempo. By 5 o'clock, Maya was exhausted. Not physically, but mentally. Teaching people who did not really want to learn was draining. She packed up her materials and headed home. On the way, she stopped at the grocery store. She needed to make her money last until her next paycheck, so she bought the cheapest options. Store-brand pasta, a few vegetables, some eggs. Nothing special. As she waited in line to pay, she pulled out her phone to check the time. There was a message from her mother. "Hi, honey. Just checking in. How are you? Call me when you have time." Maya felt a wave of guilt. She had not talked to her mother in over a week. Her parents still lived in California, where Maya grew up. They did not understand why she had dropped out of Juilliard. They did not understand why she gave up on music as a career. Her mother kept hoping Maya would find her way back to performing. Her father did not talk about it at all, which was somehow worse. Maya sent a quick text back. "I'm good. Busy with work. We'll call soon." Another lie. She was not good. And she was not busy. She was just hiding. Back at her apartment, she made a simple dinner and ate while watching a show on her laptop. She was good at filling her time with mindless activities that kept her from thinking too much. TV shows, cleaning, reading light novels that did not require much attention. But tonight her mind kept drifting back to the gala. To Sophie. To the music producer and his business card. The card was still in her coat pocket. She had not thrown it away. She did not know why. A week after the gala, Richard called her at the restaurant during her shift. "Maya, great news. That charity event went so well that we have another one booked. A corporate dinner in 2 weeks. They specifically asked if we could have live piano music. Would you be interested?" Maya's first instinct was to say no, but then she thought about her bank account. The $300 from the last event was already gone. Rent, bills, groceries. It disappeared fast. "Same deal as before?" she asked. "Background music?" "Exactly. Even easier this time. Just a corporate dinner, not a fancy gala. 2 hours. I can pay you $250. Maya hesitated. The first time had been stressful, but she had survived. And she needed the money. "Okay," she said. "Great. I'll send you the details." So 2 weeks later, Maya found herself back at the Ivy Room sitting at the same piano. This time there was no Sophie. No music producer. Just businessmen in suits talking about sales numbers and quarterly reports. Maya played quiet jazz standards and classical pieces. No one paid attention to her. It was boring and easy. She did this 2 more times over the next month. Small events at the restaurant. Background music. Easy money. She started to relax a little. This was manageable. She could handle playing for people as long as no one really listened. As long as she stayed invisible. But then Richard called her with a different kind of request. "Maya, I have something a bit unusual. There's a wedding reception here next month. The bride heard about our pianist and specifically requested you. She heard you play at the charity gala." Maya's stomach dropped. "Someone requested me specifically." "Yeah, the bride's mother was at the gala. She loved your playing. They want you for the whole reception. 4 hours. Cocktail hour, dinner, and after. They're willing to pay $600. $600. That was almost a month's rent." "What exactly do they want me to play?" Maya asked carefully. She said she trusts your judgment. "Classical for cocktail hour. Then whatever you think works for dinner." She mentioned she especially loved when you played that original piece. She wants you to do more of that if you're comfortable. Original piece. The improvisation for Sophie. Someone remembered it. Someone specifically wanted more of that. Maya felt panic rising in her chest. That was different from background music. That was actually performing, actually creating something, actually being noticed. "I don't know, Mr. Patterson, that's a long time, and $600, Maya, cash, plus a meal during the reception and all the tips from guests." She needed the money so badly. Her car had started making a strange noise. The dentist kept calling about an appointment she was putting off because she did not have dental insurance. Her winter coat with the hole in it was not going to make it through another season. "Okay," she heard herself say. "I'll do it." After she hung up, Maya sat on her couch and put her head in her hands. What was she doing? This was getting more complicated. People were starting to notice her, starting to request her. This was exactly what she was afraid of. But $600. She would just have to be careful, play it safe, do mostly background music with maybe one or two improvised pieces if they insisted. Keep herself under control. Don't let the music take over like it almost did with Sophie. She could do this. She had to do this. But deep down, in a place she did not want to look at too closely, a small voice whispered, "What if you don't want to hold back? What if you want to really play again?" Maya ignored that voice. She was good at ignoring things. The month between Richard's phone call and the wedding reception passed both too quickly and too slowly. Maya tried not to think about it too much, but it was always there in the back of her mind. 4 hours of playing, people specifically wanting to hear her play, wanting her to improvise. She found herself doing something she had not done in years, practicing, really practicing. Late at night, after her teaching lessons and her shifts at the restaurant, she would go to the community center where she taught. The building was empty after 8 o'clock. She would let herself into the small studio room with the old upright piano and play. At first, she only played the pieces she knew well, the classical standards, the jazz songs, safe, familiar music. But gradually, almost without meaning to, her fingers would start to wander, to explore, to create small melodies that were not written in any book. She would catch herself doing it and stop immediately. This was dangerous. This was opening a door she had worked hard to keep closed. But then she would remember the $600. And she would remember Sophie's face when she asked for music that felt like flying. And her fingers would drift across the keys again, finding notes that felt right even though she had never played them before. Maya told herself she was just preparing for the wedding, just making sure she could give them what they wanted. It did not mean anything. It did not mean she was becoming a performer again. But sometimes in those quiet moments alone with the piano, she would close her eyes and feel something that terrified her. She would feel alive. The wedding was on a Saturday evening in late October. Maya arrived at the Ivy Room early to set up and practice on the grand piano. The restaurant had been decorated beautifully. White flowers and candles everywhere. Soft lighting. Elegant table settings. Richard found her as she was warming up. "The bride is very excited you're here. She might come say hello before things start. Is that okay?" Maya nodded, though her stomach churned with nervousness. Sure enough, about 20 minutes before guests were supposed to arrive, a young woman in a beautiful white wedding dress approached the piano. She was probably in her late 20s, glowing with happiness. "You're Maya. I'm so glad you could be here." "I'm Rebecca," she smiled warmly. "Congratulations on your wedding," Maya said. "Thank you. I was at the Children's Hospital Gala last month with my mother. We both thought your playing was incredible. Especially that beautiful improvised piece you played. It was so moving. My mother actually cried." Maya felt her face get hot. "That's very kind of you to say. I wanted this day to be special, you know? Real. Not just pretty decorations and expensive food. I want it to feel meaningful. Your music did that at the gala. It made people feel something real. That's what I want here." Rebecca's eyes were so sincere that Maya felt something twist in her chest. This woman was trusting her with an important moment, her wedding day. "I'll do my best," Maya said quietly. "I know you will. Play whatever feels right to you. I trust you completely." Rebecca squeezed Maya's hand and then rushed off to deal with something else. Maya sat at the piano feeling the weight of that trust. Play whatever feels right. Those words were both freeing and terrifying. Guests started arriving at 6 o'clock. Maya played soft classical pieces as people came in, chatting and laughing, waiting for the ceremony to start. The ceremony itself was in a different room, so Maya took a break for 30 minutes. When the cocktail hour started after the ceremony, Maya was back at the piano. She played elegant, sophisticated music. Jazz standards mostly. People mingled, drinking champagne, talking. The usual wedding atmosphere. Then dinner started. Everyone sat down at their tables. Maya continued playing, keeping the volume low enough that people could talk but loud enough to create atmosphere. She moved through her repertoire of dinner music. Nothing fancy, nothing risky, she was doing fine. This was manageable. Just 3 more hours and she would be done. But then, about halfway through dinner, something happened. A little girl appeared next to the piano. Maya's heart jumped when she first saw her. For a crazy second, she thought it was Sophie from the gala. But it was not. This girl was younger, maybe 6 years old, with curly brown hair and a pink dress. She did not say anything. She just stood there watching Maya play with curious eyes. Maya smiled at her and kept playing. The girl swayed a little to the music. When the song ended, the little girl spoke. "That's pretty. Can you play something fun?" Maya felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Another little girl. Another request. But she was prepared this time. She knew lots of fun songs. She played a bouncy Scott Joplin ragtime piece. The little girl giggled and started moving to the music. A few people at nearby tables smiled at her. When Maya finished, the girl clapped. "More!" Maya played another upbeat piece. Then another. The little girl was having the time of her life, dancing in her own way next to the piano. Then the girl's mother came over. "Sweetie, you need to let the piano player work. Come back to the table." "But she plays fun songs," the girl protested. The mother smiled apologetically at Maya. "I'm sorry. She loves music." "It's okay," Maya said. "She's not bothering me." The little girl looked up at her mother. "Can I ask her one more thing?" "Please," the mother sighed. "One more thing. Then you come sit down and eat your dinner." The girl turned back to Maya. "Can you play something that shows what love feels like?" Maya's hands froze above the keys. The mother laughed, embarrassed. "Kids say the strangest things." "You don't have to—" "No," Maya interrupted softly. "It's okay. That's a good question. What does love feel like?" Maya thought about Rebecca, the bride who trusted her to make her wedding day special. She thought about her own parents, who she had disappointed but who still called every week to check on her. She thought about her students, even the ones like Tommy who did not want to be there but tried anyway, because someone cared enough to give them lessons. She thought about the piano itself. How much she had loved it once. How much it had hurt to walk away from it. And she thought about Sophie from the gala. That little girl who was probably sick, maybe seriously sick, who just wanted to feel free for a moment. Who trusted Maya to give her that feeling through music. Love feels like caring even when it hurts, Maya thought. Like hope even when things are hard. Like holding on and letting go at the same time. Her fingers touched the keys. The music that came out was not anything she had planned. It started gentle and sweet like a lullaby, simple notes that felt like comfort, like safety. Then it grew more complex, adding layers of harmony. It was still gentle, but there was strength in it too. A melody that lifted and soared but always came back to that central feeling of warmth. Maya's eyes closed. She was not thinking about the wedding anymore. Not thinking about the people watching. She was just feeling the music and letting it flow through her fingers. The piece built slowly, adding more emotion, more depth. It was not just pretty background music. It was real. It was saying something. It was showing what the little girl had asked for. What love feels like. When Maya opened her eyes, she realized the room had gotten quiet. People had stopped talking. They were listening. Her heart started racing, but her fingers kept playing. She could not stop now, even if she wanted to. The music had taken over. She was not controlling it anymore. It was controlling her. The melody climbed higher, becoming more intense, more passionate. But there was also sadness in it. Because love is not just happiness. It is also fear. Fear of losing what you care about. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of getting hurt. Maya's chest felt tight. She was playing her own feelings now. All the things she had tried so hard not to feel for 6 years. The pain of failing at Juilliard. The loss of her dreams. The loneliness of her small life. But also underneath all that, something else. Something she had almost forgotten. The memory of why she fell in love with music in the first place. The piece began to resolve, coming back to that simple melody from the beginning. But it sounded different now. Richer, more complete, because it had been through all those other emotions and come out the other side. Maya played the final notes softly, gently, letting them fade into silence. For a moment, no one made a sound. Then the room erupted in applause. Maya's eyes flew open. She looked around, startled. Everyone was clapping. Some people were standing. The bride, Rebecca, had tears running down her face. Her new husband was holding her hand, also looking emotional. Maya felt dizzy. What had she just done? She had completely lost control. That was not background music. That was not staying invisible. That was performing. Really performing. The little girl was still standing next to the piano, her eyes wide. "That was beautiful," she whispered. Maya could not breathe properly. She stood up quickly, her legs shaking. "I need to take a quick break," she said to no one in particular. She walked quickly toward the back of the restaurant, away from all those eyes, all that attention. She found the small hallway where the bathrooms were and leaned against the wall, trying to calm down. Her hands were trembling. Her heart was pounding. She felt like she might cry or laugh or scream, maybe all three. What was happening to her? She had been so careful, so controlled, but something was breaking inside her. That door she had worked so hard to keep closed was opening, and she did not know how to stop it. That was incredible. Maya jumped. A woman was standing a few feet away. She looked familiar. Dark hair pulled back. Serious expression. All black clothing. It was the woman from the charity gala. The one who had been sitting with the music producer, James Morrison. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you," the woman said. "I'm Elena Volkov." The name meant nothing to Maya. "Hello," she managed to say. "I was at the Children's Hospital Gala last month. I heard you play there too. Both times I was deeply moved by your improvised pieces." Elena spoke with a slight accent. Russian, maybe. "I'm a concert pianist. I've performed all over the world. And I'm also a critic. I write reviews for classical music performances." Maya's stomach dropped. "A critic, a famous pianist. Oh. I don't usually come to weddings," Elena continued. "But Rebecca is my niece. When she told me about the pianist from the gala who was playing at her wedding, I had to come see for myself." "I'm just doing background music," Maya said weakly. Elena gave her a sharp look. "What you just played was not background music. That was art. Real art. The kind that makes people feel something they cannot name but will remember forever." Maya did not know what to say. This powerful, famous woman was complimenting her. It should have felt good, but mostly it just felt terrifying. "Why are you hiding?" Elena asked bluntly. "You clearly have serious training, serious talent, yet you play at restaurant events like background entertainment. Why? I'm not hiding. This is what I do now. But why? What happened?" Maya felt something break open in her chest. Maybe it was because she was already feeling overwhelmed. Maybe it was because this stranger was looking at her with such direct, honest eyes. Maybe she was just tired of carrying the secret alone. "I went to Juilliard," Maya said quietly. "I was on full scholarship. I was supposed to be a concert pianist, but I failed. I had terrible stage fright during an important competition. I couldn't finish my piece. I just stopped in the middle and walked off stage. I was so humiliated. I dropped out and never went back." Elena listened without interrupting. "That was 6 years ago," Maya continued. "I came here to Portland to start over. I thought I could just teach piano and maybe play a little on the side. Nothing serious. Nothing that would put me back on a stage where everyone was watching and judging. I can't handle that pressure. I'm not strong enough. And yet tonight you played with more emotion and honesty than most concert pianists I know," Elena said. "You were not thinking about perfection or judgment. You were just playing, really playing, from your heart." "I lost control," Maya whispered. "I wasn't supposed to do that." "Lost control?" Elena laughed, but it was not unkind. "You found yourself. There is a difference." Maya shook her head. "You don't understand. When I'm on stage, when people are watching, I freeze. My hands shake. My mind goes blank. That's what happened at Juilliard. I can't trust myself not to fail again." "You didn't fail tonight," Elena pointed out. "Or at the gala. Both times you played improvised pieces that moved everyone who heard them. That was different. Those weren't formal performances. No one was expecting perfection." "Music is not about perfection," Elena said firmly. "It is about truth, about connection, about making people feel. You did that tonight. Twice now you have done that." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She blinked them back. "I should get back to playing. The wedding." Elena reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "Take this. I want you to think about something. There is a small concert hall downtown, the Pearl District Art Center. They have informal evening concerts. Very intimate setting. Maybe 50 people. Young performers, students, community musicians. No pressure. No critics. Just people who love music. I think you should play there." "I can't." "Not now," Elena interrupted. "I'm not asking you to decide now. Just think about it. You have something special, Maya. Something rare. It would be a shame to keep it hidden in restaurant corners forever." She pressed the card into Maya's hand and walked away. Maya stood in the hallway for a long moment staring at Elena Volkov's business card. Her hands had finally stopped shaking, but her mind was racing. A concert. An actual concert. Even a small one. The thought made her feel sick. She tucked the card into her pocket and took a deep breath. She had a wedding to finish. She could think about everything else later. When Maya returned to the piano, several people smiled at her. A few gave her thumbs up. One older man raised his wine glass in a small toast. Maya felt her face burning as she sat back down at the bench. She had to be more careful. She had to stay in control. For the rest of the dinner, Maya played exactly what was written in her sheet music. No improvisation, no emotional outbursts, just clean, professional background music. When people requested songs, she played them if she knew them. When they didn't, she politely said she would try to learn them for next time. By the end of the 4 hours, her back ached and her fingers were tired, but she had made it through. Rebecca came over during the last song and slipped an envelope into her hands along with a hug. "Thank you so much. You made our day perfect. That piece you played about love, I'll never forget it." Maya managed a smile. "I'm glad you enjoyed it. Congratulations again." Richard paid her the $600 as promised, plus another $100 in tips that guests had left. $700. More money than she usually made in 2 weeks. She should have felt happy. Instead, she just felt confused and exhausted. The next few weeks were strange for Maya. She could not stop thinking about what Elena had said. About hiding. About having something special. About the small concert hall with no pressure. She tried to go back to her normal routine. Teaching lessons to distracted children. Working shifts at the restaurant. Paying bills. But nothing felt quite the same anymore. Something had shifted inside her during that wedding. Some part of herself she had locked away was awake now, and she did not know how to put it back to sleep. She found herself going to the community center late at night more often, playing alone, experimenting with melodies, creating pieces that no one would ever hear. Except she kept thinking, what if someone did hear them? What if she did play that small concert Elena mentioned? The thought terrified her, but it also created a small spark of something she had not felt in 6 years. Excitement, possibility. One evening, about 3 weeks after the wedding, Maya's phone rang. It was a number she did not recognize. "Hello? Maya Chen. This is James Morrison. We met at the Children's Hospital Gala. The music producer." Maya's heart started beating faster. "Oh yes, I remember. I was at my colleague's wedding recently. Rebecca Morrison. She's my daughter." Maya closed her eyes. "Of course." "Oh? Elena Volkov told me about your conversation. She was very impressed with your playing. So was I, from what I heard. My daughter hasn't stopped talking about the piece you played about love. Mr. Morrison, I appreciate your interest. But I already told you I'm not looking to perform professionally. I understand you have reservations." Elena explained some of your history. "But I have a proposition for you. Just hear me out," Maya sighed. "Okay. There's a charity event next month. Different from the hospital gala. This one is for music education in public schools. It's at a small venue, very intimate. About 200 people. We need a pianist to play a short set. Just 15 minutes. 3 or 4 pieces. Elena and I thought you would be perfect. Mr. Morrison, before you say no, let me finish. This would be different from playing at restaurants. This audience would be there specifically to hear music, to appreciate it, and it's for a cause that matters. These programs keep music alive for kids who might not otherwise get to experience it." Maya felt her resistance wavering slightly. Music education. She thought about her students, about how important those lessons were even to the kids who didn't seem interested. "I don't know," she said. "The performance would be in January. That's 2 months away. Plenty of time to prepare. We would pay you $1,500. $1,500. That was more money than she made in a month. Can I think about it?" Maya asked. "Of course. Take your time, but Maya, Elena believes in you. I believe in you. Maybe it's time you started believing in yourself too." After they hung up, Maya sat on her couch feeling like she might throw up. 15 minutes. 3 or 4 pieces. $1,500. An audience actually there to listen, not just eat dinner and chat. It was too much. She could not do it. But that night she had a dream. She was on a stage playing piano. The audience was full of little girls who looked like Sophie from the gala. All of them wearing hospital bracelets. All of them watching her with hope in their eyes. In the dream, she played the flying piece. The one she had improvised for Sophie, And as she played, the hospital bracelets fell off the girl's wrists. They started to dance, to fly. When Maya woke up, her pillow was wet with tears. She lay in bed for a long time thinking. She thought about the past 6 years, about the small, safe life she had built, about teaching scales to kids who would rather be anywhere else, about carrying trays of expensive food to rich people who barely saw her. Was this really what she wanted? Was safety worth giving up the one thing she had always loved? Maya got out of bed and made coffee. She sat at her tiny kitchen table and pulled out both business cards, James Morrison's and Elena Volkov's. Then she pulled out her old laptop and did something she had not done in 6 years. She looked up videos of her younger self performing. There was footage from her high school recital when she was 17. She watched herself play Rachmaninoff with confidence and passion. The girl on the screen looked so sure of herself, so alive. Then she found footage from Juilliard, smaller performances in class and practice halls. She was good, really good. She could see it now with distance and time. Finally, she searched for the competition, the one where everything fell apart. Someone had recorded it and posted it online years ago. Maya had never been able to watch it before, but now she made herself look. She watched herself walk onto the stage, 22 years old, wearing a black dress. She saw herself sit at the piano, saw her hands shaking as she placed them on the keys. The piece started well. She was playing Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, third movement. Fast and technical and beautiful. For the first minute, everything was fine. Then Maya saw it happen, saw the moment when the fear took over. Her hands stumbled. She hit wrong notes. Tried to recover. Hit more wrong notes. Her face went pale. She stopped playing and just sat there for what felt like forever but was probably only 10 seconds. Then she stood up and walked off stage. The video ended. Maya watched it 3 more times. And each time she saw something she had not been able to see 6 years ago. Yes, she had made mistakes. Yes, she had frozen. Yes, she had failed to finish the piece. But up until that moment, her playing had been beautiful. The fear had beaten her, but only after she had already shown real talent. Real skill. The problem had never been that she could not play. The problem was that she had let one bad moment define everything that came after. Maya closed her laptop and sat in silence for a long time. Then she picked up her phone and called James Morrison. Mr. Morrison? It's Maya Chen. I've been thinking about your offer. The charity concert in January. I want to do it. There was a pause, then she heard the smile in his voice. That's wonderful, Maya. I'm so glad. Let's meet this week to discuss details. After she hung up, Maya felt a strange mix of terror and relief. She had done it. She had said yes. Now she just had to figure out how to actually do it without falling apart again. The next 2 months were the hardest of Maya's life. Not because of the practicing, though she practiced more than she had in years, but because of the fear. Every time she thought about the concert, her stomach would twist into knots. Her hands would start sweating. She would imagine herself on stage, freezing again, humiliating herself in front of people who had paid money to hear music. But she kept practicing anyway. Elena Volkov called her and offered to help. I'm not taking you on as a formal student, Elena said, but I can offer guidance. Tell me what you're planning to play. Maya had chosen 4 pieces, 2 classical standards that she knew well, 1 jazz arrangement, and 1 improvised piece, though she was terrified to do that in front of a real audience. The improvisation worries you most, yes? Elena said when Maya mentioned it. Yes, what if I freeze? What if nothing comes? Then nothing comes and you play one of the other pieces twice, Elena said matter-of-factly. But Maya, improvisation is not something you force. It's something you allow. Your problem at Juilliard was that you were trying too hard to be perfect. You were performing for judges, for critics, for your own fear. That's when music becomes a prison. So what should I do? Play for the reason you fell in love with piano in the first place. Play for that little girl who asked you to make music that felt like flying. Play for Sophie, for the girl at the wedding, for every person who just wants to feel something real. When you play for them, the fear becomes smaller. Maya tried to hold on to those words during her practice sessions. She also started doing something new. She began writing down her improvised pieces, not in proper musical notation, which would have taken forever, but in simple terms, chord progressions, melodic ideas, emotional notes about what each piece was trying to express. Maya took a deep breath. I'm doing a piano concert. In January. It's a small event, but it's a real performance. People will be there specifically to hear music. There was a long silence on the other end. Maya, her mother said carefully, are you sure that's a good idea? After what happened last time? I know, Mom, I know I failed before, but I want to try again. I just don't want you to get hurt again, sweetheart. You were so devastated after Juilliard. It took you so long to recover? Did I recover? Maya asked. Or did I just hide? There's a difference, another pause. What does that mean? It means I've been playing it safe for 6 years. Teaching kids who don't care. Playing background music where no one listens. That's not recovery. That's just existing. I want to actually live again. Her mother's voice got softer. Oh, honey, I didn't know you felt that way. I'm scared, Mom, Maya admitted. I'm terrified I'll freeze up again. But I'm more scared of spending the rest of my life wondering what could have happened if I had been brave enough to try. Your father and I will come to the concert, her mother said. If you want us there. I do, Maya whispered. I really do. When January finally arrived, Maya thought she might actually die from anxiety. The concert was on a Friday night. She had taken the day off from all her jobs to prepare. She woke up early and tried to eat breakfast, but her stomach was too upset. She practiced for an hour, but her hands were shaking so badly she could barely play. She took a long shower and tried to calm down. It did not work. At 3 o'clock, Elena called her. How are you feeling? Like I might throw up, Maya said honestly. Good, that means you care. Listen to me. When you walk onto that stage tonight, I want you to remember something. Every person in that audience wants you to succeed. They are not your enemies. They are not judges. They are people who love music and want to hear something beautiful. Give them that gift. What if I can't? Then you can't, but at least you tried. That's more than most people ever do. Maya arrived at the venue at 5 o'clock for a sound check. The Pearl District Arts Center was smaller than she expected, which helped a little. It was an old building that had been converted into a performance space. Wooden floors, exposed brick walls, and a small stage at one end. Simple but beautiful. The piano on stage was a Steinway Grand, much nicer than any instrument Maya had played recently. She sat down and played a few scales, adjusting to the feel of it. The sound was incredible, rich and full. James Morrison was there, along with several other organizers. They were kind and professional, telling her the event would start at 7. Her performance would be around 7:30, and she should relax backstage until then. Relax, sure, easy. At 6:30, Maya's parents arrived. She met them in the small backstage area. Her mother hugged her tightly. Her father, a quiet man who rarely showed much emotion, squeezed her shoulder. We're proud of you, Maya, he said. No matter what happens tonight, we're proud that you're trying. Maya felt tears start but blinked them away. Thank you, Dad. Your mother and I have been talking. We never should have put so much pressure on you when you were younger. You were just a kid. We wanted so badly for you to succeed that we forgot to let you enjoy it. It's okay. No, it's not. Her mother interrupted gently. We made mistakes. But you're here now doing this on your own terms. That takes real courage. At 7 o'clock, Maya heard the audience starting to arrive. Voices, laughter, the sound of chairs scraping. Her heart pounded so hard she thought everyone must be able to hear it. James came backstage at 7:25. You're up in 5 minutes. Ready? No, Maya thought. Yes, she said. You're going to be great. Remember, these people are here to support music education. They're already on your side. Maya walked to the side of the stage and peeked out at the audience. The space was almost full. Maybe 200 people, just like James had said. She saw her parents sitting in the third row. She saw Elena Volkov near the front, her face calm and confident. She saw Richard from the restaurant with his wife. Some of her students' parents were there too. And in the front row on the left side, she saw something that made her breath catch. Sophie, the little girl from the charity gala. She was there with her mother, both of them smiling and talking. Sophie looked thinner than before, paler, but she was there. She had come. Maya felt something shift inside her chest. Sophie had come to hear her play. That brave little girl who just wanted to feel like she was flying for a moment. She was here. Maya was not doing this for the critics or the judges anymore. She was doing this for Sophie. For that little girl at the wedding who asked what love felt like. For her students who deserved a teacher who actually believed in music. For herself. For the girl she used to be before fear took everything away. Maya Chen, the announcer said from the stage. Please welcome pianist Maya Chen. This was it. Maya walked onto the stage. The lights were bright but not blinding. She could see faces in the audience. People smiled at her. Someone gave a small wave. She sat down at the piano and adjusted the bench. Her hands were shaking, but not as badly as she expected. She took a breath and placed her fingers on the keys. Then she looked up at the audience. At Sophie in the front row. At her parents. At Elena. At all these people who had chosen to spend their Friday night listening to music. Thank you all for coming, Maya said, her voice surprisingly steady. I'm going to play 4 pieces tonight. The first 2 are classical pieces I've loved for many years. The third is a jazz arrangement. And the fourth. The fourth is something I've been working on. Something personal. She did not mention that the fourth piece would be improvised. Better not to tell them until she knew if she could actually pull it off. Maya put her hands on the keys again and began to play. The first piece was Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. She knew it perfectly, had practiced it 1,000 times. Her fingers found the notes automatically, and the beautiful melody filled the small concert hall. She felt herself starting to relax. This was not so bad. She could do this. The audience was silent, listening. When she finished, they applauded warmly. The second piece was Bach's Prelude in C major from the Well-Tempered Clavier. Clean, precise mathematical beauty. She played it well, hitting every note exactly as written. More applause. 2 down, 2 to go. The third piece was a jazz arrangement of Autumn Leaves. This one was more fun, more playful. She had arranged it herself, adding her own flourishes and interpretations. She let herself enjoy it, swaying slightly with the rhythm. When she finished, the applause was enthusiastic. She heard someone whistle. 3 down, 1 to go. This was the moment. The improvised piece. The one that terrified her. She could skip it, play one of the other pieces again, and no one would know. But Sophie was in the front row, watching with those serious eyes. Maya stood up and spoke to the audience again. This last piece is something different. It's called Beginning Again. I wrote it over the past few weeks, but I'm going to play it a little differently each time because that's how life works. We start again and it's never quite the same as before. We're changed. And that's okay. She sat back down, closed her eyes, and let her hands find the first notes. The piece started softly, almost tentatively. A simple melody, quiet and unsure, like someone taking the first steps after being afraid to walk. It was slow and gentle, feeling its way forward. Then it started to build. Maya's hands moved across the keys, adding complexity, adding emotion. The melody grew stronger, more confident. It stumbled occasionally, hitting notes that were not quite perfect, but that was part of it. Part of beginning again. Maya was not thinking anymore. She was just feeling 6 years of fear and hiding, feeling the pain of failure and the weight of disappointment, but also feeling something else. Hope, the possibility of something new, the courage to try even when you know you might fail. The music swelled, becoming powerful and dramatic. Her hands flew across the keys in passages that required everything she had learned, all her training and skill. But it was not about showing off. It was about expressing something that had been locked inside her for too long. Then the piece shifted again. It became quieter, more reflective. The melody from the beginning came back, but transformed. Stronger now, sure of itself. It had been through the fire and come out changed, but not broken. Maya played the final progression slowly, letting each note ring out clearly. The last chord hung in the air, fading gradually into silence. She opened her eyes and looked at the audience. They were completely still. No one moved. Maya's heart sank. It was too much. She had gone too far. They had not understood. Then Sophie stood up. That little 8-year-old girl in the front row stood up and started clapping. Her mother stood too, tears streaming down her face. Then Elena Volkov stood. Then Maya's parents. Then the whole audience was on their feet, applauding. Maya stared in shock. People were crying. Not just a few people. Lots of them. Her mother was sobbing. Richard from the restaurant was wiping his eyes. Even Elena, the famous concert pianist known for being cold and critical, had tears on her cheeks. The applause went on and on. Maya stood up, not sure what to do. She bowed slightly, overwhelmed. James Morrison came onto the stage and took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, Maya Chen." More applause. When the final notes of Flying faded away, The audience erupted again. The applause was even louder this time, if that was possible. Maya stood at the piano, breathing hard, feeling like she had just run a marathon. Her whole body was trembling, but not from fear, from release, from joy, from the overwhelming feeling of having done something she thought was impossible. She had performed in front of 200 people. She had improvised. She had been vulnerable and honest and real, and she had not frozen. She had not failed. She had done something beautiful. Maya bowed again and walked off the stage on shaky legs. The moment she was backstage, her mother was there, pulling her into a tight hug. "Oh, sweetheart, that was incredible. I had no idea you could play like that. When did you learn to create such beautiful music?" "I always could," Maya said quietly. "I just forgot." Her father hugged her next, not saying anything, but she could feel him shaking slightly. He was crying. Her quiet, stoic father was crying. People kept coming backstage to congratulate her. Richard from the restaurant, beaming with pride. Some of her students' parents, amazed at what their children's teacher could do. Musicians from the local community who had been in the audience. Then Sophie appeared, holding her mother's hand. The little girl looked up at Maya with those serious eyes. "That was even better than at the restaurant," Sophie said. "It made me feel like I really could fly." Maya knelt down so she was at Sophie's level. "How are you feeling? Are you okay?" Sophie shrugged, a gesture that seemed too old for such a young child. "Some days are better than others, but today is a good day. You helped make it a good day." Sophie's mother had tears in her eyes. "Sophie has leukemia. She's been in treatment for 8 months. Some days are really hard. But she insisted on coming tonight. She's talked about you and your music since the charity gala. You gave her something to look forward to." Maya felt her own tears starting. "I'm so glad you came. Can I ask you something?" Sophie said, "Of course. Then will you keep playing? Not just at restaurants, but like tonight? Because the world needs more music that makes people feel things, especially people who are having hard times. Your music helps." Maya looked at this brave little girl who was fighting such a big battle and asking her to be brave too. How could she say no? "Yes," Maya said. "I'll keep playing." Sophie hugged her and Maya held on tight, trying not to cry too hard. After Sophie and her mother left, Elena Volkov found Maya backstage. The famous pianist looked at her with an expression that might have been approval. "You did it," Elena said simply. "You broke through the fear." "I almost didn't," Maya admitted. "Right before I went on stage, I wanted to run away." "But you didn't run. That's what matters." Elena paused. "I want to tell you something. I saw myself in you when we first met. When I was young, I also had terrible stage fright. It nearly ended my career before it started." Maya stared at her. "Really? But you're so confident. So powerful. Now, yes. But that took years. Many performances where I wanted to run. Many nights where I thought I was not good enough. The difference between musicians who make it and those who don't is not always talent. Often it is courage. The courage to fail and try again." "What helped you get past it?" Maya asked. "I stopped performing for critics and judges. I started performing for one person in the audience. Just one. Someone I wanted to reach. For you tonight, it was Sophie. When you play for one person, for one heart, the fear becomes smaller." Maya thought about that. It was true. When she looked at Sophie and played for her, everything else had faded away. "I have a proposal," Elena said. "Not pressure, just an idea. There is a series of concerts at the Arts Center. Small performances like tonight. They are looking for musicians to play once a month. Would you consider it?" A few hours ago, Maya would have said no automatically. But now, still riding the high of having actually survived and succeeded, she heard herself say, "Maybe, can I think about it?" "Of course. No pressure. But Maya, you have something special. Don't hide it again." The next few days were strange and wonderful and overwhelming all at once. Maya woke up Saturday morning and checked her phone to find dozens of messages and emails. People who had been at the concert wanted to tell her how moved they were. Some wanted to book her for events. Others just wanted to say thank you. There was even a message from someone at a local radio station asking if she would come on their program to talk about the charity concert and play a few pieces. Maya sat at her tiny kitchen table, drinking coffee and reading through all the messages. It felt surreal. 24 hours ago, she was just a piano teacher and waitress that nobody really noticed. Now people were calling her talented, remarkable, inspiring. But the message that meant the most was from Sophie's mother. "Maya, I wanted you to know that Sophie slept better last night than she has in weeks. She woke up this morning humming the melody from your flying piece. When I asked her what she was thinking about, she said, I'm thinking about when I get better and can take piano lessons from Miss Maya. Thank you for giving her hope. Thank you for giving all of us hope. Maya read that message 3 times, tears running down her face. This was why music mattered. Not for fame or money or recognition, but for moments like this. For little girls fighting cancer who just needed something beautiful to hold on to. On Monday, Maya went back to her teaching job at the community center. Her first student was Tommy, the 10-year-old who never wanted to practice. He showed up with his mother looking slightly nervous. Miss Maya, I saw a video of your concert, Tommy said. Someone posted it online. You were really good. Maya blinked in surprise. She had not known anyone was recording it. Thank you, Tommy. You made playing piano look cool, he said. Like actually cool, not boring, his mother smiled. He practiced every day this week without me having to remind him. First time ever, Tommy turned red. I just figured if you can play like that, maybe I can learn to play better too. Not as good as you, but better than I am now. Maya felt something warm bloom in her chest. Tommy, you can absolutely get better. Want to know a secret? I was not always good at piano. When I first started, I was terrible. I hit wrong notes all the time. But I kept practicing because I loved it. And you know what? If you find one song, just one, that you really love, everything else gets easier. Can you teach me that flying song? Tommy asked. The one from the video? Maya smiled. That one is a little advanced. But I can teach you something similar. Something that makes you feel happy when you play it. Would you like that? Tommy nodded enthusiastically. That lesson went better than any lesson Maya had taught in years. Tommy actually paid attention. He tried hard. He got frustrated when he made mistakes, but he kept trying. And at the end, when he managed to play a simple melody that Maya created just for him, his face lit up with pride. After Tommy left, Maya sat at the piano feeling different. Teaching did not feel like a burden anymore. It felt like a gift. She could share her love of music with these kids. She could show them that piano was not just scales and exercises. It was expression and emotion and joy. Maybe she had not failed by becoming a teacher. Maybe this was exactly where she was supposed to be. At least for now. That afternoon, Maya met with James Morrison at a coffee shop downtown. He had asked to discuss opportunities with her. First, I want to say congratulations, James said as they sat down with their coffee. That concert was everything I hoped it would be and more. You truly have a gift, Maya. Thank you. I'm still processing everything, I bet. Listen, I've been in this business a long time. I know talent when I see it, but I also know that not every talented musician wants the same things. So before I start throwing offers at you, I want to ask, what do you want? Maya thought about that. What did she want? A week ago, she would have said she just wanted to be left alone, to stay safe in her small life, but now, I want to keep playing, she said slowly, but on my own terms. I don't think I'm ready for big concert halls or recording contracts. That kind of pressure is what broke me before, but small performances like Friday night, where I can actually see the people I'm playing for, where it feels personal and real, I think I could do more of that, James nodded thoughtfully. That's very self-aware, and honestly, that's a smart approach. There's a whole world of performance that exists between restaurants and Carnegie Hall. Community concerts, charity events, small venue shows. You could build a career there if you wanted. Would you be interested in that? Maybe, but I also want to keep teaching. My students need me, and I think I need them too. They remind me why music matters. You could do both, James said. Lots of musicians do. Teach during the week, perform on weekends. It's actually a really sustainable way to make a living in music. They talked for over an hour about possibilities. James had connections to various venues and organizations that hosted smaller concerts. He could help her book performances that would pay well, but would not be overwhelming. He could help her build a website and create a professional presence, but only if she wanted. Think about it, James said as they parted ways. No pressure, no rush. You've spent 6 years running away from music. Take your time deciding how to run toward it instead. That night, Maya did something she had not done in years. She called her old roommate from Juilliard, Linda. Word spread. More people came to her concerts. She started getting requests for private events, and she was careful about which ones she accepted. She only said yes to events where she could actually see and connect with the audience. No huge ballrooms where she would just be background noise. Only places where music mattered. She also started charging more for her teaching services, not because she wanted to be greedy, but because she realized she was providing something valuable. She was not just teaching kids how to play notes. She was teaching them how to express themselves, how to find joy in creating something beautiful. Tommy kept improving. After a few months, he could play simple songs that made him smile. He told his friends at school about his cool piano teacher who performed concerts. 2 of his friends signed up for lessons. The hole in Maya's winter coat got fixed. Her car got repaired. She could afford to go to the dentist. Small things, but they mattered. For the first time in years, she was not constantly worried about money. But the biggest change was not financial. It was internal. Maya woke up looking forward to her days instead of just trying to get through them. She felt connected to music again, but in a healthier way. She was not trying to prove anything to anyone. She was just playing because she loved it, because it mattered, because it helped people feel things they needed to feel. In March, Sophie's mother called her. "I wanted to give you an update. Sophie finished her last round of chemotherapy yesterday. The doctors are very hopeful. She's responding well to treatment." Maya felt relief wash over her. That's wonderful news. She wants to start piano lessons when she's feeling stronger. Would you be willing to teach her? "I would be honored," Maya said. "She also asked me to tell you something. She said to tell Miss Maya that she still thinks about the flying music every day. It helps her when things are hard." After the call, Maya sat at her piano and played Flying again, the improvised piece that had started everything. It sounded different now than it did at the charity gala or at her concert. It had evolved, grown, changed. Like she had. In April, Elena Volkov invited Maya to coffee. "I have a proposition. There is a young pianist competition in Seattle in June. Not the kind you're thinking of. No judges giving scores. No rankings. Just young musicians playing for each other and a small audience. Very supportive atmosphere. I think you should enter." Maya's first instinct was to say no, but then she thought about how far she had come. About Sophie and Tommy and all the people who had been moved by her music. About the woman she was becoming instead of the girl she used to be. "What would I have to do?" Maya asked. "Play 3 pieces of your choice. You could do all improvisation if you wanted, or a mix of classical and original work. Whatever feels right to you. The goal is not to win anything. The goal is to share music and support each other." Maya thought about it for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Okay, I'll do it." Elena looked surprised. "Really? I thought I would have to convince you more." "So did I, but I think I'm ready. Not ready to be perfect. Just ready to try." The competition in Seattle was in June, which gave Maya 2 months to prepare. She decided to play 2 of her improvised pieces and 1 classical work. She practiced, but not obsessively. She made sure to also live her life. Teach her students. Spend time with friends. Take walks in the rain. Rest. Her parents flew up from California for the event. They sat in the audience with Richard and Elena and several of Maya's students and their parents. Sophie was there too, wearing a hat to cover her hair that was just starting to grow back. She looked healthier, stronger. Maya played well. Not perfectly. She hit a few wrong notes in the classical piece. One of her improvisations did not go quite where she intended, but it was honest and real and full of emotion. When she finished, the audience applauded warmly. She did not win any special recognition, but that was not the point. The point was that she had done it. She had stood on a stage in another city, in front of strangers, and shared her music without letting fear control her. Afterward, she met the other young pianists. They talked about technique and composition and the challenges of making a living in music. Some of them were incredibly talented. Some were still learning. But all of them loved piano. All of them were trying to make music a part of their lives. Maya exchanged contact information with several of them. She felt for the first time in years like she was part of a community, not competing against other musicians, just sharing a passion with people who understood. On the drive back to Portland, Maya thought about the past 6 months, about how much had changed since that night at the charity gala when she played for Sophie, about the journey from hiding to healing to hope. She was not famous. She was not playing in major concert halls. She was not the prodigy everyone thought she would become, but she was happy, really happy. She had a life that felt meaningful. She taught students who were actually learning. She performed at small venues where her music touched people's hearts. She paid her bills. She slept well at night. She had learned something important. Success was not about being the best or the most famous. It was about finding a life that fit who you really were, about making peace with your past and building something new with the pieces. 3 months later, in September, Maya got an email that surprised her. It was from Juilliard. They were hosting a concert series featuring alumni who had taken unusual paths in their musical careers. They wanted to include her. Maya stared at the email for a long time. Juilliard, the place where she had failed, the place she had run away from. They wanted her to come back? She called Elena for advice. "What do you think I should do?" Maya asked. "What do you want to do?" Elena countered. "I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes to prove that I'm not the failure I was 6 years ago, but part of me is terrified of going back there. Let me ask you this. If you go, what are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to?" Maya thought about that. 6 years ago, she would have been trying to prove to her teachers, her classmates, herself that she was good enough, that she had not wasted her talent, but now, "I'm not trying to prove anything," Maya said slowly. "I already know I'm good enough. I'm living the life I want to live. I don't need Juilliard to validate that." "Then you have your answer," Elena said. Maya wrote back to Juilliard. She thanked them for the invitation, but politely declined. She explained that she was focused on her teaching and her community performances in Portland. She wished them well with the concert series. After she sent the email, she felt only relief. No regret, no doubt. She had made the right choice. That evening, Maya went to the community center for her usual Wednesday night lessons. Sophie was her last student of the day. The little girl had been taking lessons for 2 months now and was progressing quickly. She had a natural talent and, more importantly, a deep love for music. "Miss Maya, can you teach me how to improvise?" Sophie asked during her lesson. "I want to learn how to make up my own songs like you do." Maya smiled. "Improvisation is not something I can teach you in one lesson. It takes time. But I can show you how to start." She sat next to Sophie at the piano. "Close your eyes. Think about something that makes you happy, really happy." "Can you picture it?" Sophie closed her eyes. "Yes. I'm thinking about when I got to ring the bell at the hospital. The one they let you ring when you finish treatment." "Perfect. Now don't think about notes or scales or anything technical. Just let your fingers find sounds that match how that moment felt. Try it." Sophie put her hands on the keys and started playing. It was simple, messy, not technically perfect, but it was joyful. It had energy and emotion and truth. "That's it," Maya said softly. "That's exactly it. You're improvising." Sophie opened her eyes, surprised. "That's all it is? Just playing what you feel?" "That's all it is. Everything else, all the technique and theory, that just helps you express what you feel more clearly. But the feeling comes first. Always." After Sophie left, Maya sat alone in the quiet studio room. She looked at the old upright piano that had been her companion for so many late-night practice sessions. She thought about the journey that had brought her here. She thought about the girl she had been at Juilliard, so focused on being perfect that she forgot to enjoy playing. She thought about the woman she had become in her years of hiding, going through the motions but not really living. And she thought about who she was now. Not perfect, not famous, but real, and happy, and making a difference in her own small way. Maya put her hands on the piano keys and played Beginning Again, the piece she had improvised at her first concert. It had evolved since then, becoming richer and more complex. But the core was still the same. A melody about starting over, about being brave enough to try after failing, about finding your way back to what you love. As she played, Maya realized something. This was not just a song about beginning again. This was her life now. Every day was a chance to begin again. To choose courage over fear. To choose connection over isolation. To choose to share her gift instead of hiding it. When she finished playing, Maya sat in the silence for a moment. Then she smiled, packed up her things, and turned off the lights. Tomorrow she would teach more students. This weekend she had a small concert at a local cafe.